Hello and welcome to the video. So, Dark and Darker just had its major update. Season 4 is now out, and it's brought in a whole host of amazing new changes. So, first and foremost, you might have seen, if you've been following along in the Discord, you might have seen the early access trailer that was showing off the amazing rework that we now have on the Ruins map. And essentially, the Ruins is now returning to a 3-layer map, going Ruins, Crypts, and then Inferno. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this new system plays out. All character levels, items, quest progression, reward tokens, and everything else obviously have been reset for the new season. The standard process, essentially everyone starts back at square one. Now, for the new Ruins map, there is in fact a Spectral Knight boss. So, not sure exactly where he's hidden as of yet, but he is lurking somewhere out there within the Ruins to go find. They've now added the Dungeon Expressman. So if you saw the little snippet video that I put out of this about a week ago, essentially on the test servers, they were testing this out. Between dungeons, you've got a fellow that you can chat with, that you can give your items to, and then you can buy the items back from him at the end of the dungeon. Essentially, it just allows you to get more and more items out for a slight fee. New item origins. Now, this is actually a system that's tied in directly to the arena mode. So essentially, any item that you yourself have looted or originally created has your item origin on it. And if its item origin is you, essentially when you take it into arena, you don't lose those items. Now, they've also added unique random spawn monsters. So this is a really cool new aspect of the game. You're no longer going to be able to tell if a room has the standard mobs that you expect. It's going to be a little bit random every time. There's going to be unique monsters that are wandering through the map in some sense that you have to be aware of that might just show up. So it's going to definitely add a whole bunch of new flavor. I really hope to see a lot more of this kind of thing. I think anything to make the dungeon spicier, anything to make that PvE content more immersive, I really love it. Now, we've also got new minor artifacts. I'm not sure exactly what this is. I know that the devs were thinking of adding armor and shields eventually for artifacts, but this might not be that. This might actually be like an intermediary tier between an artifact and non-artifact. So it might be like, you know, a reasonably powerful item with a cool effect, but isn't like on the tier of an artifact. So it's gonna be really cool to find out what these are once the game's finished patching. Now, they now have a Tome of Knowledge as well, so for new players, this is going to be really helpful. If you need to find out certain key information, there's going to be a little button in the game that you can click on and learn from. They now have a bunch of new quests. Thank you, Grayson, for working hard and tirelessly on the quest system. I absolutely love the quests, so always good to get rework quests, new quests. Very cool. Affinity now is tracked across on an account basis. So what this means is once you've finished a quest on one of your characters, essentially the affinity for that merchant will be up to the same level. So if you've got to say 50 affinity on the goblin, it's 50 affinity for your whole account. Now, triumph levels have been reset to 0, and now the maximum level is 5, and essentially, you can get slightly more EXP if you're a legendary account, so if you own the game. This just means that it's now going to be a little bit easier to extract and get triumph points for legendary accounts, so a little bit easier to buy the cosmetics and the races. It also means that there is technically a maximum of how many of those you can actually get in a season, but look, that being said, I play an absurd amount of Dark and Darker, and I think I get to like just before level 5 as it is by the end of the season with the way they had the system set up. So I think all in all, this is technically a buff. You probably will get your triumph points a little bit quicker now. The adventure leaderboard rewards for the previous season and everything are now out, so make sure you click on those, make sure you get those. Very cool, very cool stuff there this season by all means. We now have that skeleton champion skin. I'm keen to see what that does. There's apparently a bunch of new cosmetic skins and emotes, so that's really awesome. I love to see that. They've got improved 3D models for several weapons and utility items, so I guess we'll see that once we play around in the game. We're going to see a lot of new changes there in that sense. They've now got balanced damage based on the attack distance changes for some weapons. So this implies that certain weapons have had the distance for them slightly tuned. So maybe they're a little bit shorter, a little bit longer, and as such, they've also then messed around with the damage to account for that. So I'm going to be really thrown off at first, I imagine, because I'm not going to be used to the slight differences in the weapon distances. So going to be a little bit of a learning experience there for everyone, I imagine. You can now bulk purchase items from the merchants, so I guess this just makes life easier, saves you having to press the buy button like a million times when you're picking up bandages. They now have a quick access button for the squire on the main menu, so just less clicks to get to the squire. Really, really smart. They have improved starting gear for all classes. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I certainly have no complaints. I do think the starting gear is a little lackluster for a few classes. Like, there isn't really any substantive choices for anything there. So, or there isn't really any substantial choices for most things there. So it's really nice to see those changes. And they've got an in-game dungeon map. So I guess that's just like the mini map. If you tap M, you can now get up the whole map. So that's really, really awesome. I've always felt like they needed one of these, so it's nice to see that as well. Now we've got the in-game quest tracker, and we've also got the in-game dungeon map. That seems like two really, really great in-game features for them to add. They now have a low violence option for the blood effects. I guess this is going to be important for some people. Maybe it's going to help your performance. I feel like this is really just for people who are perhaps very, very young, and maybe their parents don't want them playing Dark and Darker, so look, totally fair enough. When I played GoldenEye 64 when I was a little kid, my mum wanted me to turn on the paintball cheat code, which turned all the blood splatter into paintball. Which I guess is an improvement. They're still dying, I don't know. Improved shop presentation to more easily view the prices of cosmetic items. So this is pretty nice. Just a really nice shop update. I'm sure it's going to look absolutely gorgeous. They've also gotten rid of the platform system link that would pop up if you hadn't linked your account yet, so. They also say here right at the bottom, essentially, that the religion system and the arena system aren't ready just yet, but they will be featured in the coming weeks, so prepare yourself for those. You're essentially going to be able to sign up with one of the 4 major religions. It's going to have some pretty cool roleplay effects, and then also a little bit of actual gameplay effects as well. And then the arena system is just going to be like a player versus player arena, so that's going to be really, really awesome. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like on it, as that helps other people just like you who want to see content like this stumble across the video. So I really appreciate all the likes. If you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe as well. Ring that bell so you get notifications, and you'll essentially see all the awesome Dark and Darker content that I'm going to be pumping out. So that's going to be like gameplay, guides, tips and tricks, update, you know, this and that, just about anything really to do with Dark and Darker, you name it. I'm going to be right on that front, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.